start line here for the Hambleden Pairs Challenge Cup, the Women's Open Pairs. We have Emily Lindberg and Lizzie Witt of Imperial College at the top of your screen, and Rebecca Edwards and Chloe Brew of Leander Club on the bottom or the right-hand side of your screen, and off they go.
Yeah, a little bit of a bouncy start there. We could just see from Lindberg and Witt, and just they've had to correct the steering already. It's just such a, we've both been there, Jess, isn't it? That tough part of that very first bit of the race, so much pressure, so much expectation. This rolling wind we've been talking about, and in a pair it's very easy to get unsettled very quickly, but they look like they've recovered, got themselves settled, and really blasting down the course now.
Wow, a bit of flag action there. The umpire is warning them. You do not want that. It's blustery in those conditions out there on the course. And the crews both corrected. Both crews getting warned. And looking down there at the Leander crew. Neck and neck.
Yeah, just you can see that look from the bows, just a glance over the shoulder, just keeping an eye on where those booms are. Those really hard wooden booms down the side that mark the outside of the course. The last thing you want to do is make contact with those. So the pairs will be just keeping an eye on that, making sure they're dead straight down the centre, and they can focus back into the rhythm they're racing.
And this is pressurised. This is the final of Henley Royal Regatta. We're looking there at Lizzie Witt of Imperial, the blue of Imperial College. Sitting behind her, Emily Lindberg of University of London with that purple hoop around her. These are the under-23s, and they are looking across to two Olympians, Rebecca Edwards and Chloe Brew, both out of the Tokyo Women's 8 for Great Britain. And they must be feeling confident there. We see Chloe Brew in the stroke seat, backed up by Rebecca Edwards in the bow seat there.
Yeah, and I think when you're sitting next to the Olympians, you know you have to take it on from the very first stroke. You need to stay in this race and really kind of challenge the sort of the experienced crew. See if you can unsettle them by being that close to them, that physically close to them, and they are doing a fantastic job with this right now.
And we can see the water is getting harder and harder to row. They see those waves along the yellow of their boat going up and down. It's not easy out there, Catherine.
No, we've seen this the last 3 days. It feels like the wind has played such a big role in some of these races. It's quite unpredictable. And especially with the blade work here, what you want is to keep control of those blades, make sure you're clearing the waves. You've got enough space under the oar to clear the waves, but you're bringing them down to the water so that they don't risk flying around in these changing conditions.
So experience here in this Leander crew. Leander Club, Henley-on-Thames, based right here next to us. Pretty much could touch it from my commentary box. It's the purple of University of London, based in Chiswick, London, and Imperial College, based in Putney, London. So these two London students up against the Olympians, and they are holding on.
Yeah, they've really started so strongly, and into, like we said, they're a relatively light crew. They're powering into that strong wind we've got around them, and they're holding their own. And a lot of this, it's such a mental game as well. The big moment, the big Henley title to try and win today, and they've just brought the race to their opposition. What we have seen early in the week is that Leander crew has been down in the past and sort of come through very strong in the second half. So I'm sure they won't be panicking yet. They probably would have wanted a bit more space right now, but I think they'll be, again, both crews aware there's a long way to come and plenty more to race.
Looking back at Temple Island, those rowers thinking about that finish line, but right now they're just going into about the first third of the race. Warned again, Leander are warned for their steering. See that white flag telling the crew to move back onto their station. There's no buoy line here. It's an invisible line down the middle of the river, and you have to stay on your side.
I know, and I think we've all been there as well, the awful moment when the umpire raises the flag and you have to correct. And again, it's not panicking, it's not letting that change how you're rowing, it's just small adjustments. We can see, it's hard to see from these angles, but it looks like the Leander crew have started to move out again.
As we see the back there, Rebecca Edwards, the experienced rower from Northern Ireland. She was in the women's 8 last year at the European Championships, so she's got a silver medal from the European Championships. She's ready, she's primed to race, and they've broken this young under-23 double as we're looking at the course now.
Yeah, I think what's interesting with that, we didn't see any big changes, we didn't see a push, we didn't see a rate change. What we just saw was that Leander crew using their skill, using their experience, and using that wonderful length they've got. It's a very rangy, long stroke they're using to just move out on the opposition. So they've suddenly gone from almost bye-ball to a kind of a length lead, and that's going to feel a lot more comfortable.
As the crew's coming down towards us, still through the middle of this course. Anything can happen. It's windy, it's a long race, it's a slow race, but Leander at the moment have broken away. You want to move away, you want to see that crew behind you that you're beating, but what can this young pair, Emily Lindberg, Lizzie Witt, can Emily look behind, have a little glance, see what they're doing, make a call?
Yeah, and I think this is the big thing. When you still can sense the crew there, they're still close enough that you can sense the puddles. You'll be aware that Leander haven't completely gone. And it's about staying positive, staying aggressive, staying attacking. But they're going to feel Leander start to stretch that gap. They've got, Leander being warned again. And this is again, when you're in the opposing crew, if your opposition is being warned, you sort of feel this is an opportunity. You know they're going to be steering. That's going to slow them down slightly. Is this the time to attack back?
And that's quite the correction. They've moved way back onto their station. Has this been noted by the young under-23 pair? Is this the time for them to attack?
I mean, these moments can make the big difference. You know, if you can use that while the people having to change the steering are possibly focusing on that, it's a good time to attack. It's still a huge ask. There's still a long way of the course. And you're wondering how the young pair that we're seeing on the right of our screens now, how much that very, very strong fast start might have taken out of them by this point.
I tell you what, though, Captain, this UL Imperial College pair are going nowhere. They're looking strong. Lovely blade work. What's blade work? Those oars they're putting in and out of the water. One's purple, one's black, silver and blue, the retrospective colours. And lovely blade work. The University of London purple going in and out like a metronome.
Yeah, and I love it. You know, their heads are up. They're still in this fight. They're not giving over. They're not rolling over. Leander are still being warned. So Leander are still having the harder part of having to correct their steering, adjust, and this is repeated warnings for them. So the wonderful thing is for the other crews, they can just keep their minds in the race and just stay focused.
It's blustery out there. It's windy. Look at those flags. The wind's pushing the crews around. And once again, Ben Helm, the umpire, warning Leander. Little look around from Rebecca Edwards there. How close are we to the booms? Get back on your station.
Yeah, and it shows what a good job Emily Lindberg and Elizabeth Witt are doing. They're holding a very fine line, reasonably close to their side of the booms, but it's keeping them well out of trouble. As I say that shot, obviously they're moving back into the centre. I knew that would happen. But what is brilliant is they've got good lines now. They can, you know, obviously from our view, we can see the Henley Church. That means you're getting so close to that finish line.
Are they going to put their heads up? Are they going to have a sprint to the line? Put them under some pressure. What can they do when a crew gets put under pressure here? Leander taking it up. Look at the grimace on the face of Chloe Brew there. The long, strong strokes. They want it here now.
I know, and you can sort of sense how hard these conditions are becoming now. It's a long race in these conditions. You know, it's a long race in the best of conditions, this course, but actually in the blustery wind, the bouncy waves, in a pair, that's a lot to control. And Leander yet again being warned. So they're not out of trouble yet.
A little glance around, and the rate goes up. Ben Helm, the umpire, again with his flag up, telling Leander to move over. They're into the last few hundred metres. Hold your heads. But there's going to be a spirited effort from Lizzie Witt and Emily Lindberg. What are they going to do in these last dying stages?
Yeah, they're coming in front of those fantastic sort of finals day crowds now. They can sense the finish line. They can know it's in their hands. The Leander crew looking strong, but what an impressive race from all four of these amazing women who have just taken this race on in the hardest of conditions and put on a brilliant display.
And it looks like they're steering slightly going here towards the finish line. The young pair slightly moving onto their station, but Leander, the experience is showing through. These national team members are going to cross the finish line to take the Hambleden Pairs Challenge Cup in a corking race here. Well done to you.
I think that was just such an impressive performance. Like you said, the blade work was superb throughout that whole race until right at the end, when those athletes are at their very, very limit. They've given everything. And all four women there should be immensely proud of that race they've done, because that is a brilliant display of pairs rowing.